The message came at exactly 3:47 p.m., Earth Standard Time. Every screen on the planet lit up at the same moment. Every radio fell silent. Every phone buzzed with the same cold, mechanical voice. Humans of Earth, you have 30 days. Comply or face extinction, that was it. 12 words that changed everything. In New York, people stopped walking in the middle of Times Square. They stared up at the giant billboards that showed nothing but those 12 words in burning red letters. A woman dropped her coffee. A businessman forgot to breathe. Children pointed at the sky, asking questions their parents couldn't answer. In London, the Queen's guards didn't move, but their eyes were wide with fear behind their tall black hats. The Big Ben clock tower showed the message instead of the time. People came out of their houses looking up at the cloudy sky as if aliens might suddenly appear. Admiral Sarah Chen was in her office at Earth Defense Command when every alarm in the building started screaming. Her coffee mug shattered on the floor as she jumped up. The massive wall screen showed the same message that was playing everywhere else on Earth. "What the hell is this?" she shouted to her aide, Lieutenant Torres. Torres was pale as paper. "Ma'am, it's on every channel, every frequency, even the classified military networks. We can't stop it or trace where it's coming from." Chen's hands were shaking as she grabbed her secure phone. She called the president, then the Pentagon, then every world leader she could reach. The same panic was everywhere. Nobody knew what was happening. Nobody had any answers. Dr. Marcus Webb was in his lab when the message played. He was Earth's top expert on alien languages, though until today, he thought aliens were just science fiction. His computers went crazy trying to analyze the voice. The readings made no sense. The voice wasn't human, but it spoke perfect English, Chinese, Russian, Arabic, and every other language on Earth at the same time. "Impossible," he whispered, staring at his screens. "No human technology can do this." President Elena Rodriguez was in the Oval Office when her security team burst in. "Madam President, we need to get you to the bunker now." "What's the threat level?" she asked, following them down the secret stairs. "Unknown, ma'am. We've never seen anything like this." Around the world, military bases went on high alert. Fighter jets scrambled into the air, but they had nothing to fight. Nuclear submarines surfaced, ready for war, but the enemy was invisible. Every radar screen on Earth showed nothing but empty space. But then something changed. Chen was in the command center when her radar operator, Sergeant Kim, made a sound like he'd seen a ghost. "Admiral," Kim said, his voice barely a whisper. "You need to see this." Chen walked over to his station. The screen showed the edge of the solar system, past Pluto, in the cold darkness where nothing was supposed to be. "What am I looking at?" Chen asked. "Energy readings, ma'am. Massive ones. They just appeared 5 minutes ago." Chen's blood turned to ice. "How massive?" Kim's fingers shook as he typed. "Each reading is, ma'am, each one is bigger than our moon." "That's impossible." "There's more, Admiral." Kim's face was white with terror. "There are hundreds of them." Chen grabbed the radio. "This is Admiral Chen. I need Dr. Webb in the command center immediately. Emergency priority." When Webb arrived, he looked at the readings and started laughing. Not happy laughing. The kind of laughing people do when their world falls apart. "They've been watching us," he said. "These energy signatures, they're not new. I can see the traces. They've been there for weeks, maybe months. Just sitting there, waiting. Waiting for what?" Chen asked. Webb pointed at the timestamp on the message. "For this moment. They sent the message first, then they revealed themselves. This isn't a surprise attack. It's a warning." Chen looked around the command center. Every person was staring at the screens, watching the impossible ships that sat in the darkness beyond their world. Ships bigger than cities. Ships that had been hiding, watching, planning. "Get me every world leader," Chen ordered. "And someone find out what comply means. Because in 30 days we're going to need an answer." Outside, people stood in the streets, looking up at the stars they could no longer trust. Children cried. Adults prayed. And somewhere in the cold space beyond Pluto, hundreds of alien ships waited in the darkness. The 30-day countdown had begun, but as Chen stared at the readings, she realized the most terrifying truth of all. The aliens hadn't just found Earth yesterday. They had been there all along, watching every human step into space, every satellite launch, every sign that humanity was ready for this moment. The question wasn't whether the aliens were real anymore. The question was, what did they want with the human race? The holographic projection filled the entire United Nations Assembly Hall. 12 alien beings materialized in the center of the room, each one more terrifying and beautiful than anything humans had ever imagined. But it was their first words that made every person in the room forget how to breathe. "We know what you did to the Kepler colony." Admiral Chen sat in the front row, her hands gripped tight on her chair. Around her, world leaders from every nation stared in shock. President Rodriguez looked like she might faint. Even the translators had stopped working, too amazed to speak. The alien in the center spoke first. It looked like living crystal, with light flowing through its transparent body like liquid fire. Its voice was cold and sharp as breaking glass. "I am High Judge Zephyros of the Galactic Council. We have watched your species for 50 Earth years. We have seen your crimes." Dr. Webb was frantically typing on his tablet, trying to record everything. His hands were shaking so hard he could barely hit the keys. Next to him, his assistant whispered, "Are we really talking to aliens?" "Quiet," Webb hissed. "This is the most important moment in human history." Another alien stepped forward. This one looked like a giant insect made of black metal, with red eyes that glowed like stars. Its voice buzzed like 1,000 angry bees. "I am War Marshal Vorthan. My people died because of yours. The Kepler colony was not empty when your humans arrived." Chen felt her stomach drop. She had heard whispers about Kepler colony, but the files were classified so deep that even she couldn't access them. What had humanity done out there in the dark between the stars? A third alien spoke. This one was pure energy, shifting between colors like the northern lights. It had no solid body, just light and power floating in the air. "I am Mindweaver Thasara. I speak for the 17 worlds your species has touched. 17 worlds that will never be the same." President Rodriguez stood up, her legs shaking. We don't understand. What crimes? What worlds? Humans have only been to Mars and the moon." High Judge Zephyros laughed, and the sound was like ice cracking. "Your government lies even to itself. Kepler colony, Europa Station, the mining operations on Titan, the research base on Proxima Centauri. Should I continue?" The room erupted in chaos. Reporters shouted questions. World leaders demanded answers. Security guards didn't know whether to protect the humans or surrender to the aliens. Chen's mind was racing. Secret colonies, hidden space programs. How much had her own government kept from her? War Marshal Vorthan raised one of his metal claws, and silence fell like a hammer blow. "The Zerani people came to your Kepler colony for help. They were refugees running from a dying world. Your colonists saw them as a threat." The aliens' red eyes blazed brighter. "Your humans killed them all. Every last Zerani. An entire species gone forever." Dr. Webb felt sick. That's genocide." "Indeed," said Mindweaver Thasara. "But it was not the first, nor the last. Your species spreads like a virus, consuming everything in your path." High Judge Zephyros stepped closer to the human delegation. Even though he was just a hologram, everyone in the room felt the cold coming from his crystal body. "The Galactic Council has debated your fate for 3 Earth years. Some wanted to destroy you immediately. Others hoped you could change. And now?" President Rodriguez asked, though she was afraid of the answer. "Now we offer you one final chance," Zephyros said. "Submit to galactic law. Allow our peacekeepers to govern your world. Accept limits on your expansion into space. Agree to pay reparations for your crimes. And if we refuse?" Chen asked, already knowing the answer. War Marshal Vorthan's laugh was like metal scraping metal. "Then you will join the Zerani in extinction. We have destroyed 17 worlds that threatened galactic peace. Your Earth will be number 18. The aliens began to fade, their holographic forms becoming transparent. But High Judge Zephyros had one final message. "You have 27 days remaining. Choose wisely. Choose quickly. The Council's patience is at an end." As the aliens disappeared, the assembly hall fell into dead silence. Then slowly people began to speak. Some cried, some prayed, some shouted for war. President Rodriguez turned to Admiral Chen. "Sarah, tell me they're lying. Tell me we haven't committed genocide." Chen's face was pale as snow. "Madam President, I don't know, but I'm going to find out." Dr. Webb was still staring at his tablet, reading the alien transmission data over and over. Finally, he looked up at Chen with terrified eyes. "Admiral," he whispered, "I've been analyzing their technology, the power levels, the transmission methods. the energy signatures of their ships. What did you find? Webb's voice was barely audible. They're not lying about destroying 17 worlds. According to this data, they have the power to crack planets like eggs. And based on their ship positions, he paused, swallowing hard, they could destroy Earth in less than an hour. As the world leaders filed out of the assembly hall, each lost in their own thoughts and fears, none of them noticed the small detail that Dr. Webb had missed in his analysis. Hidden in the alien transmission data was something that would change everything. The Council hadn't just been watching Earth for 50 years. They had been afraid of humanity for 50 years. And fear, as any human knows, makes even the most powerful beings do desperate things. Part 3. Humanity's Dark Secret. The classified files had been buried for 50 years in the deepest vault beneath the Pentagon. As Admiral Chen typed in her security codes, her hands were shaking. The folder on her screen was marked Kepler Incident, Eyes Only, Presidential Authorization Required. She had gotten that authorization 20 minutes ago. Are you sure you want to see this? President Rodriguez asked through the secure video link. Some secrets are buried for good reasons. Chen's jaw was set like stone. The Council knows the truth. We need to know it too. The first file that opened was a video. The timestamp showed it was recorded 53 years ago. Chen recognized the man on screen immediately, even though he was much younger. It was her father, Colonel James Chen, speaking to the camera in what looked like a military briefing room. This is Colonel Chen reporting on the Kepler 442b mission, day 112, her father said. We've established the colony successfully. No signs of intelligent life detected. Chen felt her heart break a little. Her father had been her hero. He died when she was 12, and she joined the military to follow in his footsteps. Now she was about to learn something that might destroy that memory forever. Dr. Webb was in his own secure facility, going through linguistic records that had been classified since before he was born. What he found made him sick to his stomach. First contact protocols, he read aloud to his empty lab. Established 2071, updated after Kepler Incident 2072. The dates didn't make sense. According to official records, humans had never met aliens until today. But these files showed contact protocols from over 50 years ago. Back in the Pentagon vault, Chen continued watching her father's reports. Day 150, day 200, day 300, everything seemed normal. The colonists were building, farming, exploring their new world. Then came day 338. Her father looked different in this recording. Tired, worried. There were dark circles under his eyes. We've detected visitors, Colonel Chen said carefully. They appeared 3 days ago. Ships, but not like anything we've ever seen. They're organic, like they were grown instead of built. Chen leaned closer to the screen. This was it. This was first contact. The beings inside are unlike anything in our databases, her father continued. They're small, maybe 4 feet tall. They seem peaceful. They're trying to communicate. The next recording was from day 340. We've made progress with translation. They call themselves Zerani. They're refugees. Their star is dying and they need a place to stay. They're asking for permission to land. Chen's blood ran cold. The Zerani, the species the Council said humans had destroyed. Day 342. Her father looked terrible. His uniform was dirty, and there was something in his eyes that scared her. The Zerani landed yesterday. There are thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands. They're building shelters near our colony. But there's a problem. He paused, rubbing his face with both hands. They're dying. Something about our world is poisonous to them. The doctors say they have maybe a month before they're all dead. But they can't leave. Their ships barely made it here. Day 350, the final recording. Chen almost couldn't watch as her father spoke to the camera one last time. His eyes were red and his hands were shaking. The Zerani are all dead, he said simply. Every last one. They died in agony and we couldn't save them. Chen felt relief wash over her. It was an accident, a tragedy but not genocide. But then her father continued speaking. The official report will say they never existed. Command has decided that first contact must remain classified. The Zerani bodies will be buried in unmarked graves. All evidence will be destroyed. Her father looked straight into the camera. But I need someone to know the truth. The Zerani didn't just come to our world to hide. They came to us for protection. They had children with them, families. They trusted us. Chen's hands were gripping the desk so hard her knuckles were white. On day 344, when it became clear they were all going to die anyway, Command made a decision. They said it was mercy. They said it would end their suffering. Colonel Chen's voice broke. We poisoned their water supply. We killed them 3 days faster than the planet would have. And we did it because Command was afraid. Afraid of what would happen if the galaxy knew humans existed. Afraid of what other aliens might think if they found a dead species on our colony world. The recording ended. Chen sat in silence for a long time. Then she opened the next file. Military reports, orders from the highest levels of government, plans to cover up first contact, lists of witnesses who had been reassigned or silenced. But the most shocking file was at the bottom, a report from the science team dated 3 days before her father's final recording. The Zerani respiratory system shows signs of adaptation, Dr. Maria Santos had written. Given proper medical support and environmental controls, the species could survive on Kepler 442b indefinitely. Recommend immediate establishment of medical facilities. Chen stared at the words. The Zerani could have lived. They could have been saved, but someone decided it was easier to let them die. Her secure phone buzzed. It was Dr. Webb. Admiral, he said, his voice hollow. I found something in the linguistic files. The Zerani weren't just refugees. What do you mean? They were scientists. Explorers. The files say they had technology we'd never seen before. Medical advances, energy systems. They came to share knowledge with us. Chen closed her eyes. And we killed them. It gets worse, Webb said. According to these records, the Zerani weren't the only ones. There were other contacts, other species that came to Earth's colonies seeking help or trade. How many? I found evidence of at least 6 different first contacts over the past 50 years. All classified, all covered up. Chen felt sick. What happened to them? Webb's voice was barely a whisper. Admiral, I don't think any of them made it home. As Chen sat alone in the vault, surrounded by 50 years of lies and cover-ups, she realized the Council had been telling the truth. Humanity had blood on its hands. Ancient blood. Innocent blood. But there was one detail in her father's final report that the Council had missed. One small line that changed everything. The Zerani chose us, her father had said. Of all the species in the galaxy, they came to humanity for help. They said we were the only ones they trusted. Chen stared at those words. If the Zerani had trusted humanity above all others, what did that say about the rest of the galaxy? What had the other species done to make the Zerani so desperate that they would risk everything to reach Earth? Maybe humanity wasn't the only species with blood on their hands. Maybe they were just the newest players in a very old and very deadly game. Part 4. The Council's Fear. Dr. Webb hadn't slept in 36 hours. His eyes were red and burning as he stared at the computer screen, but he couldn't stop. Not now, not when he was so close to the truth. The alien transmission from the Galactic Council wasn't just a message, it was a data package. Hidden beneath the words and threats were encrypted files, communication logs, and records that the Council never meant for humans to see. But Webb was the best codebreaker on Earth, and alien encryption wasn't that different from human encryption. It just took time. Got you, he whispered as the first file opened. It was a conversation between High Judge Zephyros and War Marshal Vorthan, recorded just 3 days ago. The humans are evolving too fast, Zephyros said, his crystal voice full of worry. In 50 of their years, they went from primitive chemical rockets to faster-than-light travel. No species has ever developed that quickly. They're dangerous, Vorthan agreed. My military analysts ran the projections. At their current rate of advancement, humans will have technology superior to ours within 20 years. Webb's hand stopped typing. Superior technology? In 20 years? He quickly opened the next file. This one was from Mindweaver Thesara, speaking to someone Webb didn't recognize. The human brain is unlike anything we've encountered, Thesara said. They don't just learn, they adapt. They change their entire species through pure willpower. No genetic engineering needed. They call it evolution, but it's happening in decades instead of millennia. Webb felt his heart racing. He opened file after file, each one revealing more of the Council's true fears. Humans don't follow the same rules as other species, one report read. They thrive in conditions that would kill most galactic races. They've survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and natural disasters that have ended civilizations. They don't just survive, they get stronger. Another file showed population charts. Webb stared at the numbers in shock. Most alien species in the galaxy had populations in the millions. Some reached billions after thousands of years of careful growth. Humans had gone from 1 billion to 8 billion in just 2 centuries. They breed like they're trying to conquer the universe, one alien scientist had written. And maybe they are. But the file that made Webb's blood run cold was labeled Council War Crimes, classified. He opened it with shaking fingers. The list was long, very long. The Altarian system, destroyed for aggressive expansion. The Corellian homeworld, sterilized for refusing council authority. The Nexus trade routes, blockaded until entire species starved. Webb kept reading, his horror growing with each entry. The Galactic Council wasn't a peacekeeping organization. They were an empire built on fear, control, and the systematic destruction of any species that might threaten their power. 17 worlds destroyed, Webb read aloud. But not because they were evil, because they were competition. His secure phone rang. Admiral Chen. "Webb, I need you to see something," she said without saying hello. "I'm sending you a file. It's from the Zerani themselves." "That's impossible. The Zerani are extinct." "Not all of them," Chen said grimly. The file appeared on Webb's screen. It was a message, recorded in broken English by someone who was clearly not human. "My name is Keeper Yilan," the voice said. "I am the last Zerani. I escaped Kepler colony before the end. I have been hiding in the asteroid belt for 50 Earth years." Webb gripped his phone tighter. "I must tell someone the truth before I die," Keeper Yilan continued. "The Galactic Council found my people's homeworld first. They demanded we submit to their law. When we refused, they poisoned our star. They made it unstable, ready to collapse." Webb felt sick. "We fled to human space because humans were the only species that had ever said no to the Council and lived. We thought you were strong enough to protect us. We were wrong, but not because you were weak, because you were already being hunted." The message continued, and with each word, Webb understood more. "The Council fears humans above all others. You are like my people once were, independent, creative, unwilling to bow. But you are also what we never were. You are warriors. You adapt. You survive." Webb was typing frantically, sending everything to Chen. "They came to destroy you 50 years ago," Keeper Yilan said. "But they were afraid. You had already spread to 3 star systems. Your military was primitive but unpredictable, so they decided to wait, to watch, to let you reveal your weaknesses." Webb's hands stopped moving. "But instead of revealing weaknesses, you revealed strength. Every year you became more dangerous to their empire. Every year they became more afraid." The message was almost over. "The 30-day ultimatum is not mercy," Keeper Yilan said. "It is desperation. They cannot wait any longer. In 5 years, maybe 10, humans will be strong enough to challenge the Council directly. This is their last chance to destroy you while they still can." The recording ended with a sound that might have been crying. Webb immediately called Chen. "Admiral, did you hear all that?" "Every word," Chen said. Her voice was different now, harder. "Webb, I've been going through more classified files. Do you want to know what I found? Tell me. We're not just on 3-star systems anymore. We have secret colonies on 17 worlds, hidden research stations, black project military bases, and here's the best part. The Council doesn't know about most of them." Webb felt something he hadn't felt in days. Hope. How is that possible? Because 50 years ago, after Kepler, someone in our government got smart. They realized aliens were out there watching us. So they started the Deep Space Initiative, secret colonies, hidden shipyards, emergency protocols. Chen's voice was almost smiling now. "Webb, the Council thinks they're dealing with 1 world and 8 billion humans. They don't know about the 60 billion humans in the hidden colonies. They don't know about the weapons we've been building in secret for 50 years. Webb stared at his screens full of alien fears and human secrets. "Admiral, what are you saying?" "I'm saying the Council made a mistake. They wanted to attack us while we were still weak. But they waited too long. We're not the same species that stumbled onto Kepler 50 years ago." Webb could hear something in Chen's voice that made him sit up straighter. The 30-day deadline is in 18 hours, she continued. And I just got word from the president. We're not surrendering. What's the plan? Chen's laugh was cold as space. We're going to show the Galactic Council why every species in the galaxy learned to fear just one word: human.